If I were ranking the Harry Potter stories, Half-Blood Prince would be up there. Unfortunately, the film's focus is a little bit misguided. This potential TV series that I'm casting would allow for more focus on the Half-Blood Prince storyline itself, but we still could include those woes of the teenage years, which were highlighted in the film. And in addition, we would have enough time for a much needed Dumbledore funeral scene. It could be included as well. This entry in the series is one of the most important. The turn of Malfoy, the death of Dumbledore, Harry and Ginny, and even Ron and Hermione. It solidifies a lot of things that we've seen coming and brings a lot of things to our attention that will pay off in Deathly Hallows. As always, there are a couple roles I won't be getting to, because they don't really need a big star, much like the Gaunts, or Lavender Brown, or even Katie Bell. Instead, I'll be focusing on bigger roles, and those that actors can really sink their teeth into. Same as in the last video, I'm going to cast a role that I didn't get to in the past. With that all being said, let's recast Harry Potter in the Half-Blood Prince. As always, let's start off with the defense against the dark arts teacher, Horace Slughorn. He is a seasoned veteran teacher, and he's actually pulled out of retirement. Because of this, we need to lean into the older side and find someone who seems like their best days are behind them. He's always been described as a very fat, old, bald man. He was also very large, so large in fact that it seemed like the buttons on his waistcoat were about to burst off at any moment. Something that the films missed is that he actually has a big, walrus-like mustache. His personality is big and jovial. He's very energetic and lively despite his age. Although Slughorn is described as a little bit bumbling, I think the movies might have taken this a tiny bit too far. However, this is my opinion, but sometimes in the movies, Slughorn comes off as non-professional and just a little bit of an idiot.
Just in time for dessert? That is, if Belby's left you any.
Which he definitely is not, in my opinion. Don't get me wrong, Jim Broadbent did a wonderful job with the role, and I actually really like his take on the character. But if I was to recast, I'd show a little bit more of a capable Slughorn, who you can see those years of experience shine through. Now, it is important that he's on the bigger side, because his weight is an important characteristic for the character, but more importantly, his energy, and that positive, energetic, jovial energy from him. Something that I didn't mention is that he actually picks children from his classes for the Slug Club, which really shows his interest in his value that he puts into talent. That's why I've seen him as more of a clumsy intellectual. That's why I think Stephen Fry would be amazing. At first glance, you probably think the same as me. Stephen Fry doesn't look like Slughorn, but if you get past the original portrayal, he's perfect. He's big, on the heavier side, has that jovial nature to him, and really is an intellect.
Atlas was a Titan who fought in the War of the Titans against the gods, and his punishment, because he was the most severe enemy of Zeus and the Olympians, was to hold up the sky.
Yeah.
And that image of him bulging like a Bulgarian weightlifter, holding up the sky, was used by early mappers of the world, and they called those maps atlases after him, the pictures were.
If you don't believe me, check out this deep fake footage of Stephen Fry in the role. I believe it works so well, and I could really see him sitting down with the Slug Club and gathering students and asking them questions. And he's also aged well into the role. Although he's only in his 60s, I believe he looks much older now. Thin down that hair and slap on a mustache, and you've got Slughorn. So Stephen Fry for Horace Slughorn. As for the person who takes up the Minister of Magic mantle, Rufus Scrimgeour, he's described as worn down and walking with a slight limp. He has bushy eyebrows and gray streaks in his long hair. He's forceful and way more decisive than Fudge, straight to the point and stern. Although his doctor is slightly different than the character, Peter Capaldi shares the exact same nature of the character, and he'd do really well as Scrimgeour. If you've ever seen him in The Loop or in Doctor Who, you've seen his cold but somehow warm nature, which would line up perfectly with his character.
So let me ask you a question about this brave new world of yours. When you've killed all the bad guys, and when it's all perfect and just and fair, when you have finally got it exactly the way you want it, what are you going to do with the people like you?
So Peter Capaldi as Rufus Scrimgeour. As for the character I originally missed, or really didn't have time to get to, out of the professors, he kind of gets put on the back burner. Professor Flitwick. Visually, he does stand out. He is half goblin, and obviously his height is a factor. I think it's important we don't want to do motion capture here, however, and I'd like to have a tangible actor. So, unfortunately, we do have very limited choices. Luckily, Peter Dinklage is one of the best actors really working today. Short or not, he'd be amazing in really any role, and if the series does have more time to spend with Flitwick, he could really iron out the character and bring more characteristics to it and help him live off the screen. So, Peter Dinklage as Professor Flitwick. Next, we have one of the first faces we see in the film adaptation of Half-Blood Prince. That is Fenrir Grayback, who is seen terrorizing the stores of Diagon Alley. Now, he's someone that we don't put much attention to in the film adaptations. He's pretty much just a scary face on the screen. There's no backstory, there's no nothing. He's just kind of an interesting character to look at. There's so much more that we can really put into this TV series with a character, and more that we can dive into. Most notably, his backstory and his potential conflict with Lupin, or his state of pretty much being a half man, half werewolf. He has left his humanity really behind, and pretty much leans into the werewolf side of him. The character is pretty much a beast. And we need to cast someone who is really beast-like, and someone who can act with physicality. This isn't going to be a faceless role like it appeared in the movies. That's why I think Tom Hardy might actually do it. He does TV series every once in a while, and he likes to push himself. The physicality is the main reason I want Tom Hardy, because he's someone that really pays attention to how his character acts, moves, and looks, all while bringing those amazing acting skills. There's a really early Tom Hardy movie called Bronson, and if you've seen it, you kind of know why he'd be amazing in this role. You've seen the physicality, him massacring people, and he feels right at home while doing it. Add a little bit of that Tom Hardy charm that we know and love, and you've got a classic villain in the making. So Tom Hardy as Grayback. As for Bellatrix's sister, Narcissa Malfoy, or as Bellatrix calls her, Sissy, she's a cold woman, kind of feels like she's above others. She's described as tall, slim, with blonde hair, which is notable because all of the members of the Black family obviously have darker hair color. And although Narcissa is actually very cold to most people, she has a soft spot for her family and is very devoted to them. And although her and her sister are very different in terms of personality and demeanor, they remain very close. She is also a very loving mother, constantly worrying about Draco and his well-being. She is always trying to make sure he's safe, and that trumps really all of the loyalty she has to Voldemort or anyone else. I think Naomi Watts would do wonders in the role. She can really play anything, but I can also see her as Eva Green's sister, who I cast as Bellatrix. They would have wonderful chemistry between the two of them, and she's obviously an amazingly talented actor, who I can see give the cold shoulder and show us more of the character on screen. But I can also see her really internalizing anger, because when Draco is asked to do so much, she's obviously extremely uncomfortable with it.
She'd be alive right now, but that bastard left her there. At least she could be here with me. That son of a bitch is walking the streets. And I can't even go into their room.
He's walking the street.
I want to kill him.
Gotta kill him.
I'm gonna kill Jack Jordan.
So Naomi Watts as Narcissa Malfoy. Next up we have Bill Weasley, arguably the most handsome of the Weasley bunch. By the time we see him in this story, he's already a man. He's described as looking almost like a rock star. Tall, thin, handsome, and has long hair, and he actually wears a scar from Grayback across his face. He's more laid back and easygoing, but definitely has a serious side. Caleb Landry Jones definitely fits the description very well. He is more known for playing unhinged characters, but he also has played more grounded ones as well. He's an interesting character actor, and he's one of the most interesting actors to watch these days. And he can definitely give off those I don't give a shit vibes that I think Bill gives off.
Ain't at liberty to divulge that kind of information, Chief.
Do you really want to fuck with the Abing Police Department, Red? Do ya?
I guess.
And with him being a character actor, I think he would transform just playing himself on screen. So Caleb Landry Jones as Bill Weasley. Special thanks goes to the channel As Art, who hooked me up with that deepfake. If you'd like to head over to their videos, they actually have Umbridge and Snape up right now as deepfakes. Check out the link in the description below and let them know I sent you. But that is our cast for Half-Blood Prince. We're coming up to the last entry of the series, Deathly Hallows, which is kind of bittersweet. But I will be doing that extra bonus episode. As always, let me know who you'd cast in the role. I love reading your comments. It actually opens my eyes to actors and actresses that I'm less familiar with. As always, thank you to my patrons: Adam Gray, Jeremy Jacobs, Jenny Edwards, Gay Marchand, Gunnar Legland, Colleen West, Marco Perry, Roland, Aiden Exchange, Shalon Hudson, Kieran Hunt, Joris Conan, Brandon Warner, Sweevy, Alex Tao, Derek B. Belt, Jacob Wolf, Jerome Florich, Alex Gardulo, Lisa Hewer, and Rachel Kilker. Thanks, and I'll see you guys in the next video.